welcome back to Nails Before Films. It's your favorite disgrace to society, and Happy New Year, everyone. For my first video in 2025, I'll be talking about the Superman trailer that came out 3 weeks ago. I have always been more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan, and the DCEU was mostly disappointing to say the least. I was okay with Zack Snyder's more brooding Superman, and I actually thought Batman v Superman was decent. The first Wonder Woman was pretty good, Aquaman and Shazam were at least fun, but that's basically it. Most of the other movies are either forgettable or straight up terrible. I almost forgot movies like Black Adam and Birds of Prey existed, and I never bothered to watch Blue Beetle, Shazam 2, or Aquaman 2. Not to mention the horrors like the first Suicide Squad, Justice League, or The Flash. I absolutely hate The Flash. My review for that movie is in the description and top right corner now. So it came as no surprise that James Gunn will reboot the whole live-action movie universe. Well, sort of. He's keeping characters like Peacemaker, apparently. Anyway, similar to how the DCEU started, Gunn's DC universe will begin with a Superman movie. Superman is the superhero, so it makes sense. But after watching the first teaser trailer, I am very worried. Not excited, not upset, just concerned. The trailer starts out fine. We see Superman badly injured. I know some people probably don't like this already. Superman should be a symbol of hope and strength. Our first impression of him shouldn't be defeated. I think it's fine. I get that it's trying to convey that there are threats in the movie that can harm even Superman. It sets a more serious tone and immediately tells the audience that this isn't a campy movie, as some might think because it's from James Gunn. Next, we see Clark's day-to-day life at the Daily Planet with Lois Lane, as well as what I assume to be the Kent farm. This is pretty par of the course for a Superman movie, and I think it's nice to see the more human side of him. At this point, I was like, nice, this will probably be a more back-to-basic Superman movie. After the mess that was the DCEU and how over-the-top complicated superhero movies have become, it'd be nice to have a more fundamental take on the most iconic hero. As you can see, after a minute of the trailer, I was somewhat optimistic about this new Superman movie. I was about to be proven so terribly wrong. The next part is a bit funny. So Superman, badly injured and lying on the ground, whistled. But his whistle was so weak and his lip movement was so unnoticeable that I was unsure if the sound was coming from the trailer. I was like, is he whistling or is that wind outside my window? I just think it's hilarious how confused I was during that part. Anyway, something heard Superman's whistle and came running. I was like, that's definitely Krypto. Now this is starting to look like a James Gunn movie. There has to be a cute mascot type character. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. I just hope that Krypto has a purpose to be in the movie besides being cute. Of course, it's revealed almost immediately that it's indeed Krypto, and the next thing is pretty hilarious too. Superman is like, Krypto, home, take me home. And he handed Krypto his cape. Krypto then bites the cape and starts dragging Superman through the snow. I don't know why, but that part is really funny to me. Like, seriously, shouldn't Krypto be strong enough to carry Superman? Anyway, the trailer then shows us a pretty awesome scene of Superman protecting a girl from some falling pipes, and it's honestly what fans would like to see, just him being a hero to everyone. I wish the trailer had more scenes like it, but sadly that was the only one we got. Then Lex Luthor shows up, and I thought, nice, Lex as the main villain, this is starting to look more and more promising. Although I think Batman v Superman was decent, I'd be lying if I said I liked Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor. His version is way too weird and jittery, almost the opposite of Luthor, who's usually calm, stoic, and no nonsense. To be honest, I'm not sure about casting Nicholas Hoult either. I don't think he looks stoic and intimidating enough, but it's too early to tell. He could be great, I don't know. Unfortunately, the trailer quickly becomes messy after that. We see Superman breaking out of somewhere, a little boy putting up a flag with the Superman symbol, then Supes walks through an angry mob and enters a building. At this point, I was like, okay, this movie might not be as simple as I thought and hoped it'd be, and it doesn't get better from here. Next entered Green Lantern Guy Gardner, and soon after Hawkgirl. Saying this, I became quite concerned. It would seem that the purpose of this movie is to set up the DC universe instead of simply telling a soulless Superman story. To be honest, I don't know if James Gunn can pull it off. Look, I'm happy that they're finally including Green Lantern again. It's frustrating how DC refused to do Green Lantern again after that horrible movie with Ryan Reynolds. He was the only one missing in Justice League. However, I'm not sure if Green Lantern should be introduced in a Superman movie, and why Guy out of all people? Well, I know why. He's the type of comedic character that James Gunn favors, and I'm okay with them choosing someone other than Hal Jordan, but is Guy really the right choice? And I have very, very mixed feelings toward Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner. On one hand, I'm happy that they got him to play Green Lantern, but on the other, I'm disappointed that he doesn't get to play Hal Jordan. The guy looks and sounds like Hal. He already voiced him in DC's animated movies and the Robot Chicken DC specials. I get that some people think he's too old to play Hal, but if DC's thinking about getting Tom Cruise, then age isn't the real issue. I'm just kind of disappointed by this. I'm happy that they got Nathan Fillion, but I think he should play Hal instead of Guy. Anyway, we see a giant monster thing that breathes fire. At this point, I was really worried. So we have an alien monster, an angry mob, and Lex Luthor as the villains. Isn't that a bit much for one movie? I thought the movie would be more grounded, but now there's a huge CGI monster. What exactly am I supposed to get from all this? Superman and Lois then get together while some weird light monster is outside the window, and it cuts to Clark kissing her. I just think it's bizarre how chill they are when something weird is right outside their window. Anyway, we see Superman's robot nanny half destroyed and then a weird man with blue eyes and wrinkles all over his face. I couldn't tell that was metamorpho at all. I had to look it up. Why is he in the stag industry in this movie too? Next, Luthor looks pretty angry or something. There's some news about border issue, and Mr. Terrific shows up too because why not? Again, I'm really worried about the stacked characters. I really don't know if you should introduce so many characters in the first movie of your cinematic universe. The trailer then ends with Superman and Lois together, which is fine. Aesthetically, the trailer looks okay. I do prefer the bright red and blue costume over the darker Snyder version, but the design itself looks a bit cheap. I can't say much about the other characters because we only got a glimpse of them, but I'm not a big fan of the over-the-top CGI monster or Metamorpho's design. I'm also a bit iffy about the Superman theme rendition. I know that Gunn loves his 80s and 90s rock music, but it just doesn't sound as majestic and powerful as the original. That's basically my thought on the Superman teaser trailer. I probably would have been excited if this trailer came out 10 years ago. I would be like, oh my gosh, we're getting so many characters in live action. There's Guy, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, and Mr. Terrific. It's gonna be awesome. But after the disaster that was the DCEU and how superhero movies have generally gone downhill, I'm just worried about whether or not they can pull this off. Can James Gunn really fully utilize these characters, or will some of them get pushed to the side? Can one movie really handle so many characters and plot points? Most importantly, will the movie stay focused on the real protagonist, Superman? I know this is just the first teaser trailer, but I can't really get excited due to the lack of quality in DC's recent films. Still, as a DC fan, I want this movie to be good, and I sincerely hope my concerns are wrong. Hope you guys like my reaction and nail. I did the Superman logo with cat eye background. As always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment, share, do what you want. Follow me on other social media if you like. Links are in the description. Keep nailing it and check out the DC animated movie universe, people. It's honestly a much better universe than the DCEU.